whoever the talking to on the phone.
Help me, please. This is getting really scary.
Nobody ain't gonna help you. Please take this seat. Yeah, help
I'm getting very
Don't go back to Asia. Asia.
Oh my god.
Get out of here.
You can say hi to Hey, you know what I said good morning.
Culver City police say that victim was simply on her way to work, walking on this sidewalk here in Culver City when that suspect approached her, asked her for a cigarette. When she said she didn't have one, well, he attacked.
The attacks, both verbal and physical, have been on the rise. Nearly 3,000 cases nationwide.
New video tonight of another brutal attack on an Asian American.
KQL9's Leslie Maring has more on the Culver City investigation.
Police say the suspect also yelled a racial slur at her, and right now they are investigating this as a possible hate crime. This happened in the early hours of Monday morning, right around 1 a.m. Police did say the victim was then taken to the hospital bloodied, but is now recovering.
The number of attacks on Asian Americans have risen in LA and beyond during the pandemic. But last month's assault in K-Town, plus recent violence elsewhere against Asian elders recorded on video, has city officials speaking out more forcefully on the issue.
We are aggressively pursuing and will prosecute those who engage in hate crimes. We are unequivocal, we are unapologetic, and we are aggressive.
Is it identifying with hate groups or extremist groups?
The video is pretty clear in terms of the suspect description, what happened, what transpired on that day, and we're definitely looking for the public's help in helping identify the suspect.
Police say if you do recognize this suspect, please give them a call.
Hey, hey, go, go. Asian hate's got to go. We had fun there and try to spread the information to people who pass by here.
The fear is truly palpable, especially for Asian American business owners and employees who wonder when this hate will show up at their doorsteps. But in the midst of all this ugliness today, as you can see by your attendance here and everyone behind me, there's also a little hope. These murders have galvanized our Asian community in a way that I've never seen, and we cannot allow
almost every day on the news. But again, I didn't think that it would happen to me at a park that I usually go to train.
Kokumai, who is Japanese American, says there were people around, but most of them ignored him.
I've been here for more than 10 years in America, and I've never had anybody talk in my face like that. That was a big shock.
The alarm went out that Chinese were shooting whites, so that roused the local population. So they came to the Chinese quarter on Negro Alley, Calle de los Negros, and grabbed Chinese who they could find and said, well, let's string them up. It was a whole cross-section of people, from local business or shop owners to even some town officials. There were other officials who tried to intervene. They stopped to try to say, well, no, you can't do that. So there was a lot of conflict as to what should be done. But there were clearly a lot of people who really wanted to just grab every Chinese and haul them off and hang them. One of the first people to be hung was this Dr. Chi Lung Tong. Dr. Tong was a well-respected herb doctor and labor contractor. Quite a few who were cooks who were grabbed and hauled off and hung. Some were just beaten in the street. Out of the number of casualties, 15 were hung and 3 were beaten to death or shot. One was a 15-year-old boy.
Cesar and his wife strolling around Don Canabe Community Regional Park, as they always do every weekend. But then a young man approached.
Why are you looking at me, you bitch son of a bastard?
Cesar's wife grabbed his arm, the rant suddenly turning racial.
You're not belong here. Go to your country.
The 70-year-old Filipino-American has lived in the U.S. for more than 30 years.
I really hope this is not going to happen anymore, but in reality, it's so hard.
If you happen to witness a hate crime, the best thing to do is to stay away, but try to report it with your cell phone. That could be evidence in a hate crime, and of course to call 911 so they can investigate immediately.
But luckily, police are getting a good look at that suspect because these security cameras were rolling. You can see in this security video the suspect hits that woman on the side of the head, causing her to hit the pavement.
Incidents like these caught on camera. Video of a man driving a black Honda Civic through an anti-Asian hate rally. That was on Sunday in Diamond Bar.
This does come as we continue to see a disturbing increase in hate crimes against the Asian American Pacific Islander community.
These incidents are part of a troubling trend against Asian Americans nationwide during the pandemic.
Anti-Asian hate incidents have been on the rise. How the Asian American community is reacting.
A desperate outcry from LA's Asian community. A call for the senseless violence aimed at them to stop.
For us to have been targeted recently, it was unjustified, it is uncalled for.
Kelly Mack, a proud Asian woman speaking out against the inexplicable violence targeting her community. A national outbreak of profiling and attacks from New York to LA.
We are an increasingly diverse society, and yet we have a kind of political movement that is, I think, very fearful of that changing demographic, as well as increase in immigrants and just kind of a global society that we live in. There are a lot of fears, right? I think that those fears are not new. You know, those fears were always there, and I think that those fears were always driving how Hollywood has represented people, how Hollywood has excluded people.
Since the pandemic began, Asian American hate incidents in California have risen dramatically, up 115% in LA County, up 150% in San Jose, and up a stunning 1,200% in Orange County.
It doesn't matter what shade your skin is. What matters is how we treat one another.